Everyone. This is a quick video I wanted to make because I was talking to a professional who's working on the controls, business controls, and something that really struck me was that he said that for his career progression, he wanted to move into uh, CASM. He was trying to do a CASM. Now, I told him not to do that. That's the suggestion I have given him. Okay. Now this is the reason. The reason is here in this org chart. Before we go into this org chart, let me focus on three things which is in green here. These are highlighter. These are the ones, review and report, analysis and execution. Three different functions, majorly three different functions. And this is what sets the people aside. Now today's focus is only on this part, the analysis function, where it is about business analysis. We're talking about how the business direction should be and who works for that, right? Now, this is where ERM comes into picture, risk governance and business risk governance, and ERM comes into picture. Now, unfortunately, in today's world, a lot of things are mixed up. Why is it mixed up? Because this GRC function, that is the business risk governance and ERM, is mixed up in here, GRC, cyber GRC. Okay, so a lot of selling happens where they say that they will give GRC, but what happens is this GRC doesn't actually match up to this one. All right. Now, this is very important when you are looking at enterprise or large businesses, because your analysis function has to be a separate function. Now, these are the people who are the support element for the business. Okay. Now, this is a kind of reporting line that you can have directly to the CEO, because the CEO needs direction. He needs inputs to see where he is going and what he has to do next. Okay. And one of the most key element where ERM differs is, or COSO differ, or those who are on COSO as an analysis differs, is interface with the legal team and their interface with this backend here. Okay, so that's very important to understand here. Now these folks, what do you do after you get into your ERM, right? You are an ERM professional, you have done your SWOTs, you have presented your reports to CEO, the analysis reports, not the evidential reports that the internal audit will do. That's where COSO is there in both the places. So those are different things, right? Your analysis, you have done everything, okay, for the business. You have tried to help the business as much as possible. Where do you go after that? You cannot go into the lower elements in the org structure here. Okay, you have to be careful here. The execution function is all that is the business operation. All this is business operation. Now CEO has other operations, HR as well as marketing, sales, GTM. All that will be for the CEO, and this execution function is the one which is actually operating the business. Okay, the CEO's focus will be on the business operation. So if you try to choose a career where you're moving from your business controls towards cybersecurity, that's purely market pressure. Okay, that's purely market pressure and the place where you are in. Okay, you will be pushed towards this area, and you should not be doing so. And this is the main reason that I always say that CISOs should not just look at SOC. Now, the third element, I have said that the common elements between ERM and GRC are these, right? These will be there. But the ERM function will be looking at the documentation, okay, how the business relationship is moving, okay. But your GRC element here will be looking at automation and then looking at configuration, cloud level things that has to be looked at. Okay, so those both these are different. The same way, access control. ERM will talk about access control in a larger way simply because it's in your COSO. Okay, and COSO with ERM and 31001 is a very strong element, is a very strong study, which honestly I feel a premier MBA or your chartered accountants will not be able to give. Okay, there are reasons for it. It's the reasons are in the content of those courses. Okay, next, backup strategies. Yes, when ERM thinks of backups, okay, they have to think of backup as a business strategy. Okay, who will take decision if the CEO is not there? Who will take decision if the CFO is not there? Those align with your BCM strategies, and that's the reason ERM and BCM goes along together at a macro level, and your CISO and CIO will be looking at technology backups. Okay, those are different. So unfortunately, because of these mix-ups, this entire focus of analysis is kind of getting missed, and the folks here are pushed towards here, this area. Okay, which should not happen. These people, either you do your MBA, okay, move into your operation here, okay, get into the reporting line here. You don't need to move here, okay, and then or you do your internal audit, which is given by CPA or fraud detections and those kind of areas, and move this side of the function. Okay, you will continue to support businesses and the spend of money and those kind of things. You will be looking at it from here. Okay, so this is where you have to be looking at, and don't even go here. Okay, now this will vary a little bit when you're doing audit operations. When you're looking at compliance and audit operations, you're looking at, okay, your KPIs have been met or not, your operational reports. Okay, those are not actual. Those are just subsets of the final report that the internal audit signs off. Okay, so looking at if you're at the operation level of audits, then you will be very close to these functions, right? These are the executing functions which you're auditing. Now, you may have a way of going into this, but again, as auditors, I would say the roadmap should be moving towards a chartered accountant or something on the financial side. Okay, so this was just a thing that I wanted to discuss. So many terminologies are mixed up, so much, and that really brings in a lot of hazy ways of roadmaps. This is the main reason that even I don't recommend SOC analysts to move up in their ladder towards CISO, because they don't have insight into this area here. I was talking to a SOC person who is working in a big four. He's working in a big four, and they call it as security engineering. And unfortunately, when I asked him, "Do you know about preventive and detective control?" he asked me back, "What is detective and preventive controls?" Now, with a 10-year experience in SOC, I don't expect such an answer. Honestly, I kind of shook me up. Okay, so that's something that you have to be very careful about. So be careful about where you are doing what, and where the value is, right? Right now, the analysis function is something that is compressed. When you talk about startups or medium-sized companies, these functions are compressed, and it's expected that these people deliver the same thing. Okay, but again, execution is different from analysis and audit, right? So you have to be very, very careful about these things. Okay, the more larger organizations you serve, you have to understand these functions and how they correlate with each other. Okay, that's very important. Thank you.